begin with our next lesson, The Necklace, Part 1. Mathilde was a pretty and charming girl, born, as if by an error of fate, into a family of clerks. She had no means of becoming known, understood, loved, or be wedded to an aristocrat, and so she let herself be married to a minor official at the Ministry of Education. She dressed plainly because she had never been able to afford anything better. She suffered endlessly, feeling she was entitled to all the luxuries of life. She suffered because of her shabby, poorly furnished house. All these things that another woman of her class would not even have noticed tormented her and made her resentful. She dreamed of a grand palatial mansion with vast rooms and inviting smaller rooms, perfumed for afternoon chats with close friends. Yet, she had no rich dresses, no jewels, nothing. And these were the only things she loved. She wanted so much to charm, to be envied, to be sought after. She had a rich friend, a former schoolmate at the convent, whom she avoided visiting because afterwards she would weep with regret, despair, and misery. One evening, her husband came home with an air of triumph, holding a large envelope in his hand.
Look, here's something for you.
She tore open the paper and drew out a card, on which was printed the words, "The Minister of Education and MME Georges Ramponneau request the pleasure of M and MME Louisel's company at the Ministry on the evening of Monday, January 18th. M stands for Monsieur and MME stands for Madame. French terms of address like Mr. and Mrs. in English." Instead of being delighted, as her husband had hoped, she threw the invitation on the table resentfully and muttered, "What do you want me to do with that? And what do you expect me to wear if I go?" He hadn't thought of that. He stammered.
Why? The dress you go to the theater in, it seems very nice to me.
He stopped, stunned, distressed to see his wife crying. He stuttered,
What's the matter? Let's see, Mathilde. How much would a suitable dress cost?
She thought for a moment, computing the cost, and also wondering what amount she could ask for without an immediate refusal. At last she answered hesitantly, "I don't know exactly, but I think I could do it with 400 francs. He turned a little pale because he had been saving that exact amount to buy a gun for a hunting summer in the country near Nanterre with a few friends. However, he said,
Very well. I can give you 400 francs, but try and get a really beautiful dress.
The day of the party drew near, and Madame Loisel seemed sad, restless, anxious, though her dress was ready. One evening, her husband said to her,
What's the matter? You have been acting strange these last 3 days.
She replied, "I'm upset that I have no jewels, not a single stone to wear. I would rather not go to the party."
You could wear flowers. They are very fashionable at this time of year.
She was not convinced. The next day, she went to her friend's house and told her of her distress. Madame Forestier went to her mirrored wardrobe, took out a large box, brought it back, opened it, and said to Madame Loisel, "Choose, my dear." First, Mathilde saw some bracelets, then a pearl necklace. She tried on the jewelry in the mirror. She kept asking, "You have nothing else?" "Why, yes, but I don't know what you like." Suddenly she discovered in a black satin box a superb diamond necklace, and her heart began to beat with uncontrolled desire. Her hands trembled as she took it. She fastened it around her neck and stood lost in ecstasy as she looked at herself. Then she asked anxiously, hesitating, "Would you lend me this? Just this?" "Why, yes, of course." She threw her arms around her friend's neck rapturously, then fled with her treasure. Rapturously or Utsapurvak means with great joy. Fled with her treasure or Patkan Nigun Geli, here fled means went away quickly. The day of the party arrived. Madame Louiselle was a success. She was prettier than all the other women, elegant, gracious, smiling, and full of joy. She danced wildly with passion, forgetting everything in the triumph of her beauty and success, floating in a cloud of happiness. Mathilde and her husband left at about 4 o'clock in the morning. When they were finally in the street, they could not find a cab. They walked towards the Seine till they found one. They were dropped off at their door in the Rue des Martyrs, and sadly, it was all over for her. In front of the mirror, she took a final look at herself in all her glory. But suddenly, she uttered a cry. She no longer had the necklace around her neck.
What is the matter?
Asked her husband. She turned towards him, panic-stricken. I no longer have Madame Forestier's necklace. Panic-stricken or ghabrane means with a sudden feeling of fear. He stood up, distraught.
What? How? That's not possible.
Distraught or upadravi means worried, disturbed. This is the end of the first part of the lesson, the necklace. Let's begin with the English workshop for this section. Let us now continue with the lesson, the necklace, part 2. They looked in the folds of her dress, in the folds of her cloak, in her pockets, everywhere, but they could not find it. Cloak is a garment worn over other clothes. It has no sleeves and fastens at the neck.
Are you sure? You still had it on when you left the hall.
He asked. Yes, I touched it in the hall at the ministry.
But if you had lost it in the street, we would have heard it fall. It must be in the cab.
Yes, that's probably it. Did you take his number?
No.
They stared at each other, stunned. At last, Louiselle put his clothes on again.
I'm going back over the whole route we walked and see if I can find it.
He left. She remained in her ball dress all night, her mind blank. Her husband returned at about 7 o'clock. He had found nothing. He went to the police, to the newspapers to offer a reward, to the cab companies. Everywhere the tiniest glimmer of hope led him. Glimmer means faint or wavering light. She waited all day, in despair at this frightful disaster. Louiselle returned in the evening, a hollow, pale figure. He had found nothing.
You must write to your friend and tell her you have broken the clasp of her necklace and that you are having it mended. It will give us time to look some more.
She wrote as he dictated. At the end of 1 week, they had lost all hope.
We must consider how to replace the jewel.
Here, jewel means the diamond necklace. And so, they went from jeweler to jeweler, looking for a necklace like the other one, consulting their memories, both sick with grief and anguish. In a shop at the Palais Royal, they found a string of diamonds which seemed to be exactly what they were looking for. It was worth 40,000 francs. They could have it for 36,000. So they begged the jeweler not to sell it for 3 days. And they made an arrangement that he would take it back for 34,000 francs if the other necklace was found before the end of February. Louise Louisel had 18,000 francs, which his father had left him. He would borrow the rest. And he did borrow. He gave notes, made ruinous agreements, dealt with every type of moneylender. Ruinous or vidwan sajil means lending to a heavy loss, ruin. Then he went to get the new necklace and laid down on the jeweller's counter 36,000 francs. When Madame Louisel took the necklace back, Madame Forestier said coldly, "You should have returned it sooner. I might have needed it." From then on, Madame Louisel knew the horrible life of the very poor. But she played her part heroically. The dreadful debt must be paid. She would pay it. They dismissed their maid. They changed their lodgings. They rented a garret under the roof. Garret is a small, uncomfortable room at the top of the house. She came to know the drudgery of housework, the odious labors of the kitchen. She washed the dishes, the dirty linen. She carried the garbage down to the street every morning and carried up the water, stopping at each landing to catch her breath, and dressed like a commoner. She had to bargain at markets, quarrel and face insults over every miserable sou. Sou is a French coin of low value used in the past. Each month they had to pay some loans, renew others, get more time. Her husband worked extra every evening doing accounts for a tradesman, and often late into the night he sat copying a manuscript at 5 sous a page. And this life lasted 10 years. At the end of 10 years, they had paid off everything, even the interest. Madame Louisel looked old now. Often she brooded over the past. What would have happened if she had not lost the necklace? How strange life is. How fickle. How little is needed for one to be ruined or saved. Brooded means thought sadly or unhappily. One Sunday, as she was walking in the Champs-Élysées, suddenly she saw Madame Forestier, still young, still beautiful, still charming. Madame Louisel felt emotional. Should she speak to her? Yes, of course. And now that she had paid, she should tell her all. Why not? She went up to her. "Good morning, Jean." The other, astonished to be addressed so familiarly by this common woman, did not recognize her. Familiarly or parijit means showing closeness or familiarity. She stammered, "But madame, I don't know you. You must have made a mistake." "No, I'm Mathilde Louisel." Her friend uttered a cry. "Oh, my poor Mathilde! How you've changed!" "Yes, I've had some hard times since I last saw you, and many miseries, and all because of you." "Me? How can that be?" "You remember that diamond necklace that you lent me to wear to the ministry party?" "Yes, well?" "Well, I lost it." "What do you mean? You brought it back." "I brought you back another exactly like it. And it has taken us 10 years to pay for it. It wasn't easy for us. We had very little. But at last it is over, and I'm very glad." Madame Forestier was stunned. "You say that you bought a diamond necklace to replace mine?" "Yes, you didn't notice then. They were very similar." And she smiled with proud and innocent pleasure. Madame Forestier, deeply moved, took both her hands. "Oh, my poor Mathilde, mine was an imitation. It was worth 500 francs at most." This lesson has been adapted from The Necklace by Guy de Maupassant. Let's begin with the English workshop for this lesson.